Hey, how's it going? Oh, excuse me. What happened to my voice? It's all gruff and coffee sounding, phlegmy sounding. But hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Just chilling, relaxing. Don't really have anything else to do right now, and thought I would just continue on with these videos. Um, for those who've been watching, thank you very much. I appreciate the comments and appreciate the watches and appreciate the subscribes. So anybody else who wants to subscribe, that would be fantastic. That would help me out a lot, and I appreciate it very, very much. Just want to get up to that 1,000 subscribers, and then I feel like I've accomplished a little bit. But anyway, with that being said, these are my top unspecified number of favorite horror movies of all time. And these, like I said, these are the more well-known movies. They're not so much the small independent films that you get a lot of box sets, which I do have a lot of, and I do enjoy those a lot. It's just there's so many, and I like to do movies. They seems to be a little bit more fun when it's movies that most of other people have heard of, so they can sort of base their opinion on movies as well. And like I said, drop a comment, and I get back to pretty much every comment unless I don't notice it for some reason. But anyway, let's just get going. Start off these ones here. I kind of did together, and like sorry, I meant to say too as a reminder, these are not in any particular order. These are just movies that I like, and just talking about them at random. So the first two I'm going to talk about, because they are very similar and they're both very graphic and hard to watch for some people, and a lot of people who have seen them would understand why. And these are the originals of I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left. And I believe I Spit on Your Grave, yeah, it was called Day of the Woman. That was another title, and it was because it's a revenge film. It's a very graphic movie. With I'm not going to get too much into it. Just if you can stomach scenes, I don't even want to say the word on YouTube. I mean, I'm not monetized, so I can't be demonetized for it. But I just let's involve unwanted relations, and both of them kind of have a similar thing. Both are revenge movies to a point, and they're really hard to watch. They're very graphic, and but they still are good um, entertainment when you take in mind that it's not real. So these guys out. But there also were remakes done in the early 2000s. And usually when they remake a movie, they try and make it more graphic, more, you can compare the original Halloween to Rob Zombie's. Rob Zombie's Halloween is obviously a lot more violent, more graphic, and a lot more blood. These got blood factors. I haven't watched them in a while, so I can't really remember exactly. But they are, by comparison to their 1970s counterparts, they are kind of watered down in a lot of ways. Not unentertaining, but they are just definitely not nearly as horrifying and believable to watch as the originals. But both good movies in their own rights, and the remakes, they are watchable. They are good. I'm not gonna say they're not good, but compared to the originals, they're not as good. I'll just leave it at that. So, moving on, I'm gonna say Diary of the Dead. Now, I do like the entire Dead series, George Romero's Dead series. I mean, is it Survival? Survival of the Dead's probably the weakest one in my opinion, but a lot of people say this one is. And I actually, in terms of like found footage style films, this is actually one of the better ones too. I like it. It's starts off and it's like they're watching a YouTube video, and it just kind of goes from there. It's really well done. It does have, well, maybe it's not in this one. Yeah, I think in this one it does have a character that was in a previous film, so it just still ties him in. He's a military guy, but he's kind of gone rogue, and he's kind of a douche. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Negan in terms of, he's just kind of a badass in the zombie, not a badass, but kind of like a bad guy in the zombie apocalypse. But it's definitely worth a watch. Like I said, it's a found footage movie, so if that's not your thing, you might not enjoy it as much. But in terms of found footage movies, I think it's one of the better ones. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's not flawless, but I would say in terms of the Dead series, I'd probably put this. There's how many is there? Night, dawn, day, land, survival. There's 6 of them. I'd probably put this at 4. I would put this 4. Yeah, I like it better than Survival and Land, but Land is also pretty good too. Up next, The Mummy. This is the original Universal version. The box is a little bit damaged. I tried to tape it, but it didn't stay sitting on the shelf. Anyway, of course, legendary Boris Karloff, who I think for his time was one of the better actors out there, and he'd do like horror films. He could do more comedy films. He can do he was in the original Scarface with Paul Muni. Fantastic actor. And of course, just like the other ones in the Universal Legacy collection's got all the different versions of all the sequels and stuff. Interesting though, the sequels that star Lon Chaney Jr. aren't really sequels. They're sequels of each other, but in terms of this one, they're sort of their own thing. They don't really have anything to do with The Mummy, but they are still good movies in their own right. Kind of remind me of like a watered down early Jason Voorhees. Not this movie, but the ones with Lon Chaney to a certain degree. That's what it made me think of when I watched it. But this is a good movie. It's got some good effects. In a lot of ways, it's almost like it's similar story to Dracula. You know, brought back where he's well, Dracula wasn't brought back to life. He just was alive, but he's brought back to life, and he's looking for his love. Finds a doppelganger sort of thing, and then pursues her, and you know how the story goes. But it's got some good effects, and it's good fun watch. I don't know what the runtime is. I haven't actually watched it in a little while. And the interesting thing is the mummy form of Boris Karloff's character. What's his name? Let's say Toten something other. Probably they're all called that for some reason. But in Hollywood. But anyway, you only really see him in mummy form for a brief couple minutes, and the makeup's really well done, and you just sort of see some bandages, and then the guy screams, and then after that he's more human and dressed in traditional garb, I guess, of his era. But it's good. It is good. It is, and I do have some mummy stuff here. What you got? This here is, it's going to flop over if I'm not careful. This is a NECA. And it's really well done. I'm not going to get into too much about this because I've done other videos about him, but there's that guy. So I'll put it down here. And hope the cat doesn't discover it. I got this one here. This is an old one from the 80s. But this is more reminiscent of the sequels, the follow-up movies. But that guy. A couple more. I got this one here. This is actually pretty recent. That's kind of how he appeared in the beginning of the movie. There are other bandages that come with them that hang and droop down, but I didn't bother to put them on there. And then this little trunk, it's got a scroll. Oops. Where are we at? There we go. But again, I talked about this in another video, so I'm not going to get into that. It's just going to take up a lot of time. But it's just a fun little toy. Kind of detailed, you know. And then one more. This is one of the first things I ever bought in terms of when I started collecting stuff. But it's the case. The sarcophagus, I guess. It's kind of cool. And then, of course, it opens up, and then inside is Boris. That's how he appears in the beginning of the film when we first see him. And then he comes to life, and the movie goes from there. So, it doesn't go on very good, but that's okay. I never have it on anyway. And so, what are we doing up next? 28 Days Later. I actually really, really like this film. It's based on Last Man on Earth. They made Will Smith did one with the actual name of the movie, I Am Legend. That's what it's based on. That somewhat. By the way, I think I Am Legend is a terrible movie, but that's just me. You know what? It's the digital effects. It's the CGI that just drags me right out of the movie, and to me, it's so unwatchable because of that. But I'm not talking about that movie now. I just thought I'd mention that in there. But anyway, I do really like this movie. It's scary. It's not a zombie movie per se. It's a disease, a virus, and but it's good. It's dark and gritty. It's filmed a certain way to kind of give you like an uneasy sensation while you're watching it. So definitely check it out if you haven't. Most people, I think, I would say have by now, but if you haven't, watch it, and if you have, watch it again because it's one of those things. It's just worth watching. And then the sequel is actually really good too. You know, sometimes a lot of times a follow up movie is going to be garbage, but this one I think it's just. I'm not gonna say it's as good as the original, or the first one, but it's definitely up there. It's not a boring movie. It's still scary, and I would say the opening scene in it is heartbreaking and intense all at the same time, and scary. It's definitely one to check out if you haven't already. Check it out, and if you already have, watch it again because you probably like it. Up next, Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. House of a Thousand Corpses is good too. I really like that one, but this is definitely the superior film, and I can't even remember if I've seen Three from Hell. I know it was on Netflix, and I know I was gonna watch it, but I heard it wasn't that good, and I don't really remember it if I did watch it. But I will probably watch it again and then remember if I did or didn't. But I don't really have an opinion on that one. But this movie I do really like. It's they're bad, vicious. We all know what they're like, but just how Rob Zombie does that twist in the end where even though they're the villains and they did some pretty despicable things, you kind of feel bad for them for some reason. You're almost rooting for them at the end, and it's like, why? And how did Rob manipulate our minds to make us think we should feel sorry for them when they're, evil scumbags? But he does. It's just done in such a way where you're just like, no, no, stop doing that. When really you should say, yeah, yeah, do that because they earned it, they deserved it, they're evil. But it was weird. You live in a haunted building, you hear all kinds of weird shit. Especially because it was like right here, and I don't know what it was, and there's no one in the hall because I can be able to hear them. But good movie, definitely check it out. And I do have this is actually from A House of a Thousand Corpses, but I do have a Captain Spaulding doll. The only thing I don't like is how his head's kind of like turned sideways and as opposed to straight. But there's a reason why I bought this one and not the other one. I think the box was damaged or the packaging was damaged on the one where his face was straight. So I just kind of got what they had in that regard. But it's a pretty cool doll. Pretty cool toy. You down there. Moving on. Just a couple more here. Here. Drag Me to Hell. I actually really like this movie. It's Sam Raimi. It's a horror comedy, mostly horror. It's got some pretty scary scenes. A lot of movies in the 2000s, after 2000 horror movies specifically. Not really a big fan because I'm finding a lot of repetition of movies that were already made, or the remakes of foreign films and not done as well. But this is one of the good movies that are out there that are still really enjoyable. It's got some scary scenes. It's got like some really comical scenes, and it's when I saw it, I didn't even know that it was supposed to be funny. I'm just watching it. I'm kind of chuckling. I'm like, is that intended to be funny? And then as the movie progressed, I realized, okay, no, it is. There are a lot of throwaway jokes in this movie, and it's good. It's got a. I'm not going to give away the ending, but it is. It is an unsurprised. It's a surprise ending in a certain way, but it's good. I really, really like this movie. It's got. It's well casted. The effects are really well done. Actually, the effects are amazing. The makeup effects, the practical effects, and there are some CGI. A little bit of CGI at the end is a little bit cringy, but not terrible. Not enough to make you dislike the entire film. Now this one here, this is it's a foreign film. I think it's Japanese. I want to say Japanese. It's I don't know. Some of the printing, I thought that looked more Korean because of all the circles, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do believe it's a Japanese film. It's called Cinderella. And it's not like scary, but it's dark. And it's kind of a sort of a switched at birth kind of film. And it's a really good watch if you like subtitles. I need a drink of water. But if you like subtitles or you're okay with subtitles, definitely check this one out. I don't know if you can find it streaming. I bought this at the Chinese mall, or the Chinese mall, the mall in Chinatown in Toronto that used to sell when they were selling like the pirated DVDs and stuff. So I'd go there every couple of weeks and buy a big stack. And I'd watch them all and get like 6 movies for $10. So you're rolling dice. This is one of the ones that were that I really enjoyed. And since I'm cleaning out and getting rid of a lot of movies, that was itchy. But getting rid of a lot of movies, I did get rid of a lot of the ones that I bought there because either I'll never watch them again or they're just terrible. But but this is good, and check it out. It's Google Cinderella Asian film, Japanese film, whatever, and see what comes up because it's kind of a generic name, so you might get 1,000 titles. I might have just got lucky with this one, but check it out. I don't really know anybody about who's in it in terms of anybody famous because, well, I don't. That's all I'm gonna say with that. Next one I'm gonna talk about is Saw. Saw, when this came out, I was like blown away. I think everybody that's into horror was really like impressed by this movie. We already know what it's about. Jigsaw traps, try to escape, and his twisted reasoning behind it. But this one here is the one it's different than all the others. You know, it's focused on the two main characters that are trapped in the room together, and they're back and forth trying to get out and figure things out, as opposed to the other movies that are just involves a lot of people. And I think some of them get a little too oversaturated with people, but it's good. Danny Glover, it's sort of an odd role for him, but he pulls it off. He sells it. It's good. I'm not going to go into too much detail because pretty much everybody knows the franchise is popular enough. You sort of have an idea of what it's about if you've never even seen this one. But this was, I would argue, this is the best of the bunch. It's not the most graphic. It's not most violent, but it's got the best story and the best kind of like the good characters. Now I got my three favorite movies from the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which is starting with the first one, the original. I do think the ending is kind of hokey, but if you play it off like it's a dream sequence, it's not so bad. But I do think it's a little bit silly and kind of just pushed the end. But up until that, the practical effects are incredible. The Freddy character in this one is probably my favorite in the whole series because he's just dark in the shadows and doesn't really have a lot of dialogue. It's after 3 when you get the Freddy with all the constant one-liners, and just the silly gags and everything, and it just starts to get a little bit, to me, it get kind of stupid after 3, with the exception of 1, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But people are talk about how bad the remake is. I actually really like the remake. I thought it was well done. It's definitely better than any of the sequels between 3 and Nightmare, or New Nightmare, which is the movie I'm going to talk about, the one sequel I'm going to talk about after 3. But so anyone says, "Oh, they've ruined the franchise." No, the franchise ruined itself, and that's why we needed a reboot. Nothing is Robert Englund, though. Robert Englund is great as the character, and he's just being himself he's just being the character when he's doing what he does. I think to have him in the remake would have been kind of silly. People say, "Oh, he should have been Robert Englund." It's like, well, it's a different movie, different director, different story, so it should be a different actor. Let someone else, put on the glove and fill those shoes. Robert Englund, fantastic at it. Even in the shitty movies, he still plays his character the way it should be and plays it well. But I think when you're rebooting a movie, use a completely different actor. Otherwise, it gets confusing. Like some people, is it a reboot? Is it a remake? Is it some sort of pseudo sequel? It's just, to me, it's not. It doesn't make any sense. That's just me. But this is the first one, and it's the best of the bunch. Do really like it, but it's not without its flaws. But when I say the ending is bad, yeah, take it all as a dream sequence, it's fine. But just some of it's just a little bit like, But I know when I saw it, it scared the crap out of me. Next one is out of the Nightmare movies is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. This is when the one-liners really, welcome to prime time, bitch. That's when the one-liners sort of start to make their appearance, but it's still well acted. Special effects in it are pretty crazy, pretty good. Like for their time. A lot of use of miniatures with the bus and everything, but it looks good. You know, it's passable, viable, believable. I guess I don't know, but it's definitely worth the watch. I don't know. Not really much I can say about that. And then we got New Nightmare, which is probably my second favorite of the series. And you know, this just goes in a completely different direction. It treats it all, the whole series, like it's real, or like it makes it aware of itself. Let's put it that way. Like they're there as themselves, not as the characters. And then you get this weird crossover where it's blurring the lines of the movie that Wes Craven's trying to make, a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and it's sort of blurring into the real world. And you got a new look for Freddy. You got Robert Englund is Robert Englund, but then they start calling each other by their characters' names, and they start getting really it starts to get confusing. But from their point of view, you have the actor, can't remember his name, but he played Gage in Pet Sematary. He's in this, and he's really well done. He was also in Kindergarten Cop. I couldn't remember, was that Undercover Cop? Yeah, Kindergarten Cop. He's a good little actor. I don't know what he's done now as an adult, but I haven't really looked into it. But he might not be acting anymore. He might have a great career. I just haven't been paying attention. But I do really like this one, second best of the series. It's got some good scares. The effects are good. And yeah, definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. And again, if you have seen it, watch it again. It's a good movie. And then just a couple things. I got a couple Nightmare on Elm Street stuff going on here. I really like this Freddy I got. This is from 3. I think, is it 3? 3 or 2. You know what? I think it's... No, this is from 2. Sorry, my bad. You can tell because the claws are coming right out of his fingers. But yeah, this is from part 2. Part 2 is its own kind of weird thing, and there's a documentary on it about, because the main actor, he was actually gay, and there's a lot of gay undertones in the movie. It's had a weird, interesting twist about it, but there's a documentary about it, and I can't remember what it's called, but I saw it on Netflix, and it's really interesting to check out. So you should watch it if you're a fan of the movies enough that you'd want to see some background stuff, that's what I'm trying to say, then yeah, check that out. But this is a lot of detail. I'm not going to go into too much about that because it's not the kind of video I'm doing. And it's got the demon hounds, hellhounds, whatever they're called, these things that are supposed to be creepy in the movie, but are actually, to me, they're kind of silly because they're obviously Rottweilers with human masks on, and then they make panther sounds. So I just thought they were a little bit... The first time I watched it, I was a kid, or I was but now as an adult, I know the scene's coming, and I always kind of get a little chuckle. And this one here is from part 3. There. It's just a NECA doll. And then this guy here, the last one, is from New Nightmare. You can see, like, it's got the new five knifed claw glove, and the different makeup and the different costume and hat. It's a pretty cool doll. I really like this. I don't open these dolls because I don't know how freestanding they are. Plus, I like the way they look in the package hanging on the wall. But anyway, that's going to be enough for this. For you sat through the whole video, thank you very much. Thank you for the view. Thank you for the comments if you're going to comment, and I will get back to you if you do. And if you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, that would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. Just kind of bump my numbers a little bit higher. And now I got to clean all this stuff up. So until the next one.